broadcast, everyone, our Halloween party. My name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is Season 5, Episode 16, episode number 196. How's it going? We are live on Zoom tonight, joined by some friends. We're in costume, some of us. I'm really excited. I have been super excited for this episode all day long. Actually, like for the last month since we said we were going to do it, I've been excited about it. So, yay. How's it going? I'm RBG, in case you couldn't figure it out.
Love it.
I was just thinking, like, after we went through our introductions, it's like, oh, missed opportunity. We should have introduced ourselves as our costume.
We can do it again?
We can do it again.
Hello and welcome to the broadcast. My name is Ruth.
I'm a white suburban female voter.
And I'm Sabrina.
Welcome. Anyway, we are joined tonight in order on my screen by Randy the Rabbit. Ro, what's your costume, Ro?
The baby.
Oh.
Really just my pajamas and I, did it up.
I love it.
I like it.
Greg, Kayla, Matt, Allie, and Tasia.
Hey, hey.
Woo. Hey, hey. So, does anybody have any plans for Halloween this year? I mean, there's not much that we can do during a pandemic, but Ro is...
Well, Colleen, you and I have the same plans.
That's very true. We do. 15 years ago, Amanda and Mai's college put on a production of the Rocky Horror Show. Amanda was a producer and I was in the ensemble, and Jay kindly digitalized the videotape of the production for us. So we're gonna do a Zoom with some of our friends that were in the cast and watch it on Saturday night.
Yep. So cool.
And the quality is shitty.
At 9 o'clock.
At 9 o'clock. Yeah, everybody was like, when
we're too old for a midnight showing at this point. So
I was willing to go till 10. So I was like, all right, 10, it's 90 minutes. 10 takes us to 11:30. I think I could stay up till 11:30. I generally go to bed around midnight anyway, but anyway, glad that it's at 9.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Good times. I love that Shandy has a live jack-o'-lantern right now.
Sure do.
Did you carve that yourself?
Sure did. And made the seeds. I should have brought the seeds over to munch on, but although that's bad podcast etiquette. But yes, I have 2 more, but I figured one of them could hang out tonight with us. And then we'll see how long it lasts. Because it doesn't actually get cold here, so like once you carve the pumpkins, like they go pretty fast.
Yeah, that happens here too, actually, because we've made the mistake of going like pumpkin picking in the beginning of October, and then by like the second week, it's moldy and gross, and we just end up with a Harris Teeter pumpkin to carve. So,
I read somewhere you can spray them with something, and it helps extend their life a little bit.
Oh, that would make sense.
What it is, if it's like vinegar or what. So this is really not a helpful hack because I can't remember the key component of it. But I'll see if I can find that article and I will let you know.
Okay. And that's all right because we've gotten our pumpkins. We went to the patch this past weekend. I teased the story last night. We did a West Wing podcast for the patrons last night.
Yes.
So check that out if you're a patron. It's on all the patron feeds. Or on the all patrons feed, and I think the hangout feed. I think it's, I don't know, whatever. I clicked all the boxes at the end.
I almost listened to it a couple times today, but I still haven't seen any West Wing, so I was like, no.
It was good. We had some good discussion.
Yeah. It was very fun. I had a grand time.
I mostly just wanted to virtually hang out with everyone on the call, so that was my reasoning, but then I figured maybe I'll watch it for real someday.
It was me, Amanda, Jay, and Jack that did it. And then Ro was there, and Maggie was there, and Judy was there. And Judy was in the waiting room before. She never ended up coming in. I'm trying to think who else was there. Matt was there at the end. Gott was there at the end. Anyway, it was fun. It was fun. We might do a podcast where we just cover like a season at a time. So it's like a limited run series, but we'll see. It took 3 years to pull together, and 3 years and a special episode to pull that one together. So,
we'll see. We're not committing to anything at this time.
Before we move on, we went to the pumpkin. I teased this story on the West Wing podcast. We went to the pumpkin patch this past weekend, and we legit lost Zach for 10 minutes, and it was terrifying.
Oh gosh.
So, there was a corn maze, and he and Alex ran ahead of us, but every time we couldn't like see them because they got around the corner, we'd be like, boys, stop, and they would stop. But one time they didn't stop, and we were like, boys, come back here now. And Alex came back by himself, and we were like, well, where's Zachary? And he goes, I don't know, he went that way. And it was something. So I ran ahead and was like, well, let me see if I can catch up with him one way. And Jay and his family all went a different way. And like, I ran through that whole side and, ended up going out, I think through like the back so I could like run up or something. And I couldn't find him. And then Jay's mom, Cindy, left like, because I wanted to get out of the maze to see if he had gotten out of the maze and to see if he was wandering around like on the swings or the slide or whatever, because he had been on the slide. And, so I got out there, I did a search, I couldn't find him. That's when Cindy came out, and I was like, you watch here or whatever. And, so she like took that portion of the show. Hey, Judy, I'm telling the story about how Zach got lost. I'm still kind of in the beginning of it, but it's not that much longer. So anyway, yeah. So Cindy was watching the exit. Jade climbed up there was a big like slide and like hill in the center of the corn maze. So Jay got up to the top of that and was trying to see if he could see him, and he couldn't find him. Jack took like the back end because there were woods behind us.
Man.
And like, I just kept running around like screaming his name. I was like, Zach, okay, I know you like to hide, but it's time to come out now. And never found him, and just, legitimately started like freaking out after about 10 minutes. We lost Zach in a corn maze. Hi, that's what you guys missed. And eventually, after 10 minutes, he found grown-ups. I guess he had gotten lost somewhere. He found grown-ups that helped him get out, and then he saw Cindy at the exit. And that's when it was really terrifying. Like, I had parents helping me at one point because I ran around that maze so many times, and like people eventually noticed that I was calling this kid's name. So yeah. And then he said that he heard us calling his name, and we were like, well, why didn't you answer us? Right. And he was like, I don't know. We were like, you left your brother by himself in the middle of a corn maze, like, to get lost. Like, you heard your parents calling for you. Why didn't you say anything? And he didn't have an answer. So I don't know if he just like freaked out or what, but yeah, it was one of those moments. And Gregson in the chat, can't wait to see if those jerks comment on your parenting again. I actually have blocked them, so it wouldn't be that
guy. Nice. Correct.
Yeah.
That is how you deal with that.
But there's always someone. So anyway, one last announcement before we move on. We have the next Broad Topics on Monday night at 9:00. I'm sure we'll have a big crowd because we're all going to have to talk each other off the ledge that night, I'm guessing. And yeah, so the link is the same link as this one. So I hope that, you'll join us.
Yeah, it's crazy to think how soon it is, but also how far away it potentially is too.
Exactly.
Because it's not going to be like a normal election night.
Well, I don't know.
Unless there's a landslide, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
But even then, it's like you still can't necessarily rest on that because you figure all of the like mail-in won't be counted until later.
Well, Wisconsin's not allowed to count any ballots that arrive after 8 p.m. on
Wisconsin.
Good God.
I know.
Voting is great.
Yeah. Justice Beer said that.
Wisconsinites are voting early. If
Good.
That's what they're called.
Justice Beer said that he believes the election should be called on the night of Election Day.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah. Just a thing that happened. Today started out, I started out in such a bad, weird mood today. That's why I'm really happy to get to dress up and
Well, we had a terrible thing happen today, so we can
Last
focus
night,
on
but yeah.
Halloween instead.
Yep. Not even worth our air.
Yes. All right. So,
In other news, I went hiking over the weekend and saw my very first California condor. And also, like, side note, very, fairly up close, like perched in a tree, not like, I saw a couple like super high in the sky and I was like, those are not turkey vultures. They're not flapping their wings. They are just soaring. Like, those are huge. And then later on, we happened upon one that was just perched in a tree, just hanging out. It was
so cool.
pretty amazing.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid,
That was a good thing.
When I was a kid at summer camp, we had some guy brought California condors, and we got to see them, and that's my only experience with them.
Wow.
Because in the 90s, they were
trying
to reintroduce them back into the wild.
There's still still very few of them, but they hang out basically in the area that I'm in, in Big Sur, which I've never seen them in Big Sur, and then also in Pinnacles National Park, which is close to here, just a little bit inland, and that's where we were hiking. I know that there are some in the Grand Canyon as well. I'm sure Randy can probably speak to that, but and apparently when we were hiking the Grand Canyon, somebody was like, oh, look, and it was super way up high and we didn't have binoculars, and it was like, okay, maybe that's a condor, but I don't really count that as my first condor. This was my first.
That's so
It was pretty great. Yeah.
well, that's awesome, Shandy.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Does anybody else have anything? I saw Allie in the chat said that they lost Molly for a few minutes at Disney Paris, which was scary. And that is scary because that's Disney Paris.
Yeah. I remember when we were growing up one time at Glacier National Park, we lost my little brother, who was probably 5 at the time. And for a good, I don't know, probably half an hour, didn't know where he was. And he was just wandering around by himself in a national park, where bears live. It was terrifying. And I was a child, so I can't, it was scary for me, but I can't even imagine for my mom. We found him.
And we never saw Timmy again.
I was expecting the story to end with that. We found him.
Yeah. All my siblings are still accounted for. Knock on wood. We're good.
And 5 years later, he came back and he only spoke wolf. Yeah. No, I had a very boring weekend. I don't think I have anything fun to share.
That's fine.
Yeah. I went to the park to meet up with a friend, and it was a really beautiful fall day. And the leaves were
lovely.
blowing in the wind. And
Nice. Nice. The leaves
That
are
is
changing
lovely.
here finally too, and it's nice.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I also finished this book just shortly before we started recording. It's the one that I had so much trouble giving the whole title of last time. The Body Keeps the Score.
I edited that part out.
I know, I heard. I listened. I promised I would get better about listening, and I listened, and I was like, damn, she makes me sound...
I saved
So
it
much
for the
better.
bloopers. I saved it for the bloopers for sure.
But seriously, this should be required reading for everyone. It is so fucking good, and we can change so much about society if we actually heed the lessons in this book. It's amazing. I really do think that everyone should read it, especially if you're of a more conservative mindset. I think it really explains a lot of things, why people are in poverty and what we could do concretely to help them with that. That's just totally different than what they might assume.
Yeah. Well, cool. I linked to it in the show notes last week. I will link to it again this week. Before we move on, I want to give a special shout out to Aunt Cindy, who made these earrings by hand.
So
I found everything for relatively cheap on Amazon, and I couldn't find the earrings. And the only place that I could find earrings that looked like the famous RBG green portrait earrings was Etsy, and it was $85. And I was like, I love Halloween, but I'm not $85 committed to sitting on Zoom for 2 hours.
hard pass.
So I had texted her and I was like, hey, I sent her the picture. I was like, can you help me find earrings like this? And she went to Michael's that day, bought a bracelet, pulled it apart, and then glued the backs to it. She made 2 different versions in case one of them broke, I guess. And then she sent me all the extras too. So I've got
Nice.
Your own craft time. Oh, that's the best.
earrings for everyone. But yeah,
Nice.
very big thank you, and Cindy, I appreciate it. And happy birthday! This episode comes out on your birthday, so happy birthday!
Oh, nice.
Oh, happy
Also, shout out to
birthday.
Frank, whose birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday,
Oh,
Frank!
happy birthday. Birthdays all around.
Woo!
Birthdays all around. October birthdays, man.
Cool. Alicia said my wedding anniversary is Halloween Eve. Ooh, happy anniversary! I'm throwing gavels. Happy anniversary. Oh, Halloween wedding. See, that's what you have to do. If you have a Halloween birthday or wedding, like you need to do it in theme. That's just my personal belief.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're just taking a holiday away from people. Now you're making it a party that we can all really celebrate and enjoy.
One of my friends, her birthday is the 20th, and she had a Halloween themed Sweet 16. Ooh, where like she had it in like the hall and everything, and I rented a Scarlett O'Hara costume, like the green one.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
good times. Okay, so it is customary for me to read totally, completely believable ghost stories with the sole purpose of scaring Shandy on this episode each year.
Although this year I'm not in my apartment alone.
Well, that's good. I think one of the one that was like the scariest that I've ever done was one that was, and then the mom had like a premonition that there was danger at home, and then I think it was last year maybe, and there was danger at home, and it ended up being a guy with a knife was like in their driveway. Remember that one? I don't know, that one
tried to block all of it out.
Yep, sure blocked that out.
That one stayed with me. So, just tell the story of 2020. Nothing can be more terrifying. I got a sticker today that said, I voted for 2020 to end.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so my office at work is haunted. And, like, legitimately, the more that we're there, like, the more that I'm convinced that it is haunted. So, essentially, one of the weirder things about the house that can be explained, but also, you know, is all the drawers in the house will just open on their own. And it doesn't, we were like, oh, it's an old house. It was built, you know, like 100 years ago in Raleigh or whatever. It's just like a slanted foundation, except my coworker's desk, like my desk faces like this way. She's across the hall from me, so her desk faces this way. And my coworker next door, her desk faces this way. So we have 3 different desks that face 3 different ways, and the drawers just open, like slide open automatically, right? And in the bathroom, the little, we took like an old like filing, you know, those like longer filing cabinets we took one of those and we took the filing stuff out and put it in the bathroom to like put toilet paper in and stuff. We were being creative. And even if there's toilet paper in it to like make it heavier, it's still like just, you know, will open on up. So we have that like weird thing. And my boss was always like, well, maybe the house is like, you know, built like this or something. And we're like, yeah, maybe, sure. Okay. I was on Marco Polo with somebody in the summertime, and the drawer, I was like closing the drawer and I was talking. I was like, oh yeah, the office is haunted or whatever. And then like 2 or 3 Marco Polos later, I'm talking again, and you can see the drawers just opening in the background behind me. And I was like, see, I told you, like, I didn't do this. Like, I'm just sitting here, not even facing that desk. Cause I have a desk like where you put my stuff in, and then I have like the computer desk, you know, this way it's like L. So yeah, I was like, see, I told you. So that's like the very like, okay, fine. Like it could be like foundational, structural, whatever. It's just always been weird. I was the only person that went into my office for the first like 4 months of the pandemic, like from the end of March till the beginning of July. It was really mainly just me that went in. And I actually, one of the first times I was there by myself, I went into that hallway and was like, hey, I don't know who's here, but look, I'm going to be here for a couple hours a day, twice a week. You leave me alone. I'll leave you alone. I don't care what you do when I'm not here. Just, you know, whatever. So I know I'm a crazy person, but it was kind of weird. So anyway, whatever. I didn't really have many incidents while I was there in the summer, except for like, you know, the drawers were just open. my coworker Stephanie started to go back because her work really picked up over the summertime, and back in, I want to say it was July, she was there a few days in a row, and she left her laptop there overnight for the week, and the hard drive completely died out of nowhere. And that had to have been early on. Like, there must have been a period of time earlier on. It might have been in June, when the week that I was driving Zach back and forth and I missed a day. It might have been that week that she was like, "Oh, I'll cover you because I got to go in." So that was early on. So then later, so they replaced her whole computer. Later in the summer, back in like August, she was in there with her new computer. She was there again, left it overnight a couple of times. And the whole thing got messed up. She has a video that she sent me that she helped me compile every crazy thing that's happened today. She's not touching her laptop, and her Excel is just like somebody's like, typing things in, like she's like, "I'm not touching it. I'm holding my phone. See, here's my hands." And like her computer was like, had a mind of its own. So she was super freaked out. And then she had to like have our IT person come and like fix whatever was wrong with the brand new computer. So I was like, "Well, just stop leaving your laptop there," because clearly like the ghost hates it. So duh. So then one day she was walking back so we have an abandoned house next. So, okay, I guess I should have set this up to begin with. On one side, we have a funeral home. Across the street from it is a crematorium. So, like, when the smoke is going, we know that they're burning the bodies. And then on the other side of our house is an abandoned house that a developer owns that they're not doing anything with. And there's literally, like, ivy growing inside the window next to me. It's, like, shut, and so it's, like, creepy and abandoned. Oh, cool. So, after it was typing it by herself, that same like week, she was leaving the house. She got into her car. She hadn't turned her car on yet, but the radio turned on with the car being off, and a voice said, "Henry?" And she like freaked out. So yeah, so she was like, "I think Henry's our ghost." And I was like, "No, you said it was a lady's voice. Clearly the lady is looking for Henry, right?" That's the conclusion that I came to. So she was, again, like freaking out. And then like a month ago, she ran in the back to get something from the storage real quick. And she, when she came back, the door was locked. And she said that she didn't even remember closing it. She thought she just left it slightly ajar because she was just running out real quick. And yeah, she was locked out, and the door like lock has to be either you lock it manually with the key from the outside, or you flip it like up or down for locked or unlocked on the inside. So yeah, good times.
Maybe the ghost just doesn't like your coworker.
I don't know. And then the other weird thing that happened to her, and she and I are the only one that the weird things have happened to, but like the other weird thing that happened to her is she has one of those things that you put over your laptop camera, and she never takes it off, and she left the laptop there overnight. And when she got in the next day, it wasn't there. And she looked around thinking maybe it fell off when she closed it or something. It was nowhere. She found it later that day in the back of a drawer, like the back corner of a drawer. And she was just like, "Okay, I definitely didn't put this here." And it was overnight. Like, the cleaning people come on the weekends. So like, it's like a random Wednesday. So that was that. So when she was telling us about this and sending us the videos about the thing, my coworker Sarah said, and this happened to me too, and I had forgotten about it one day in the summer. It might have been why I got in there and was like, "You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone." Where we have offices up front, and the security door will beep if it opens. The door will beep if it opens, like to tell you which door opened. And the door in the back by the kitchen beeped, and Sarah went back there thinking that somebody else had come in, like one of us had come in through the back, and nobody was there. She was like, "That's so weird. Like, it beeped, and it only beeps if somebody opens the door." And that had happened to me too. I swear to God, I was like, "Oh, I wonder who else is here. That's so weird. Everybody's in lockdown still." And so that had happened to me. My other coworker, her office is in the back, and she thought that somebody was in the office with her, one of us that have the front offices, because she heard footsteps walking around in the front of the house. And I've heard footsteps in the back of the house for sure. So, and then the thing that like really got me is 2 weeks ago, I was sitting in the office, and I wanted to get out of there because I just wanted to like not be there anymore. And it wasn't like a haunted thing or anything. I was just like, "Oh my God, it's getting late. I want to go." and the Wi-Fi wasn't working, and I needed the Wi-Fi to work in the office. I reset the router. We have a 5G one and a regular one. I kept switching back and forth to try to get it, and there's no the back offices have the wiring to be routed in, but the front ones don't, so we have to rely on the Wi-Fi signal, and it wasn't working. And then I noticed that my cell phone charger had stopped. My phone was plugged in, had stopped charging my phone, and I was like, "Damn it!" I was like, "Geez, Louise, what is going on?" And then I was sitting there, not doing, just typing away, and I heard a child's voice on the porch say something, and I was like, I wonder if the mailman's here, and it's bring your kid to work day. So I turned around, the mailman wasn't here. I was starting to get a little freaked out because I 100% heard a child's voice. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. So I walked outside in the street to see if a kid had passed by and the voice had just carried, and nope. There was nobody in the street. So that's when I was just like, hey, is anybody else coming in today? And they were all like, no. And I was like, okay. And then I tried to type back what was going on, that I heard a kid's voice. And from then on, I couldn't get any of the text messages to go through at all. They wouldn't. To this day, I still have the screen cap. They just not delivered, not delivered, not delivered. Couldn't get them to go through. Stephanie texted me through iMessage and got through. And she was like, are you okay? Because she had had these experiences too. And I was like, this is what just happened. And now I'm freaking out. And yeah, so good times. Was super terrified. So that's when I went into the hallway and I was like, I don't care if you're here, but stop fucking with the internet because I want to leave and I can't get my shit done if you don't stop messing with the internet. So stop it. If you want me to go, stop it. And the only thing that everything kind of stopped when I opened. We always keep the door closed, the front door, the storm door, and the screen door, the storm door and the regular door, or whatever, closed. And every time I'm in there, if I have the door open, I feel totally fine. I don't feel creeped out at all, which is weird. So anyway, that's been our haunted house experience. I don't leave my laptop there because I'm not silly like Stephanie. I guess if I wanted to get a new computer, I should just start leaving my laptop there, but it's still good. So anyway, yeah, that was my ghost story, and it was terrifying. It wasn't terrifying, but you know what I mean. It was very unnerving, so my theory is, and then I'm done, is that Henry is the child, and she's looking for the child, and the child is who I heard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I don't know what it is about kids' voices. That's where I get scared. The idea of kid ghosts, I find scarier than adult ghosts. Maybe it's just because it makes me really sad that that little kid ghosts exist at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
It's fair.
Heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had asked Stephanie, I was like, help me compile everything that's happened to everybody. So she did. And she was like, you know that they all think we're crazy, right? And I was like, I don't care. I heard a kid's voice on the porch. I'm not making this up.
No, yeah, your new building is definitely haunted.
Yeah,
so
it's an old building. That's why.
Yes, your new old building.
Yeah.
So
also,
good luck with that.
It really doesn't help.
Work more interesting.
I know. It really doesn't help, though, that we live next to the abandoned house. Oh, and that same day, I took a picture of the windows of the abandoned house next door. I was like, show yourself, but nothing.
And the crematorium, and
the funeral home.
There's a lot there. There's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. It's are you sure you're not on you're unwittingly on some reality TV show?
No, I think it would be a real long con then, because it's only really been a slow kind of burn with all this stuff. Because I didn't have, it wasn't creepy really when I was there for most of quarantine. I did hear the footsteps and the beeping thing, but I was never scared. It was never something where I was freaked out about. It was always just oh, cool. Henry's mom is here, whatever. Not that we called her Henry's mom then, because that thing happened in August. But still, good times. Good times. Anyway, does anybody else have any ghost stories, real life ones that they want to share? Are you sure? Are you sure?
Tasia might.
Oh, I think Tasia definitely does.
Oh, certainly.
I gave you guys my good one last year. I was pestering my mom for stories this week, and my little brother had some that he told me. Apparently, my uncle he saw Bigfoot story from when he was a kid. That's not really a scary story, but that's a Kentucky cryptid story. fun fact, Kentucky has a whole lot of fucking cryptids, if you guys didn't realize that.
Yes.
A lot of cryptids.
What does that mean, cryptid?
Cryptids are just another word for Bigfoots or like any kind of like weird animal mashup that like is like, you know, like weird
paranormal kind of animal.
Gotcha.
Or so do the mountains. So do the mountains of North Carolina, like the eastern part of the state that borders with like Tennessee. Yeah, they have apparently a lot of like cryptids and whatnot there too.
Yeah, I can tell you my little brother's one that he told me today. If you guys want to hear that one,
sure.
Yes.
Best friend growing up, they. Okay, so one of our family friends growing up, my little brother had a family friend from kindergarten to 12th grade. They were best friends. Their family owns a farm in Salinas. And, you know, throughout the years as they've been cultivating the farm, and again, obviously, like everywhere in the United States, tons of Native Americans. But on their farm in particular, they found like a lot of like mortar and pestles. Like there is a Native American burial ground, like once you get way out into the fields, like up on this hill. So growing up, my little brother has had some really bizarre experiences going to that farm and hanging out with his friend because, you know, little kids, like they'll go run around the fields. They would like, you know, get their little like ATV, go run around out there. He had one time while he was out there and up in the area where the Native American like burial ground is at.
Yeah.
They were down at the bottom of the hill and they saw this black figure on the top of the hill. And they were watching it. He thinks it was like a chupacabra, but I'm kind of thinking it wasn't, especially knowing like the Native American presence that's there.
Yeah.
They stopped and they were watching it and it stood there and it was watching them. So they got freaked out, got on the ATV. They start trying to head back to the house as quick as they can. And it followed them. So
did they think it was a skinwalker?
Where it was at. Mm-hmm. It was like following them back. So they would like look back and it would be someplace else, like in a different spot, but it kept following them all the way back to the house.
That is really scary.
And then another time when he was out there, they used to go sleep in the barn out there too. And he was telling me, and this was like when he was probably 18 or 19, so he wasn't a little kid. They were out there sleeping and he's sleeping in, one of our family friends had passed away and he was sleeping in that man's chair. So he's sleeping out in the barn, and he said he opened his eyes, and sitting across from him was a translucent blue torso. So, like, no distinguishable features on the face, no, like, legs. And he just sat there and watched it and said it was staring at him. And he was like, nope, not going to do this right now. I'm going to put the blanket back over the head. We're going to pretend this is happening. But that whole family has tons of stories from out there because, again, like, you know, any place where you have, like, any kind of history like that, you're going to have some weird shit that happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
and
oh my God, my whole body is covered in like shivers.
One more good one from Mom's coworker friend. It's short, super fast, but it's a little kid one.
Go for it.
Some, like full body shivers.
Yes. Do I? Do I?
Fast one.
Okay, please
Mom's
do.
former coworker, and she's had a bunch of friends over the years too, real like sensitive people. Said she was asleep one night and woke up, and she opened her eyes, and there was a little girl at the end of her bed. And she said she was staring at it. And she said, she told my mom, she was like, I don't know what made me say this. But I looked at it and I said, I don't know what hole you crawled out of, but whatever hole you crawled out of, you need to go back in there right now. And she said it put its head down. And when its head came back up, its eyes were black.
Oh, like a black-eyed child?
Mm-hmm.
You're not supposed to let them in.
Tried faking her out. So then as soon as like that happened, she apparently started freaking out, started trying to get her husband to wake up. And of course, as soon as he woke up, it was gone. Wow. Enjoy that one, Shandy. Who's like, I'm not here.
Yeah, if you want to be scared, Google black-eyed kids and then go down that rabbit hole because yeah.
God, what am I going to do tonight when I have to get up and pee?
You should do what Alex. You should do what Alex does every night. Alex puts his blanket over his head, and then he'll go like, you know, whatever he does. He'll walk around the room with the blanket over his head to keep him safe. Although yesterday or this past weekend, he woke up from a nap and I was sitting at the kitchen table, which is across from his room, and he has this Lotso from Toy Story 4 bear that he calls Pink Bear, and I see, you know, pretend that this is Pink Bear. I see Pink Bear, like the door opens and through the like little slot in the door, Pink Bear comes out and he's like, you can see he's like looking around. And then I was like, Alex, you can come out. And Alex is completely buck naked. I mean, this little naked boy comes out with his teddy bear. It was so ridiculous. I laughed for like
Bear was just making sure the coast was clear.
I laughed for a good 2 minutes, and he was like, "Why are you laughing at me?" And I was like, "Where are your clothes?" Anyway, sorry. Yeah, that was a good story, Tasia.
Oh my god.
Kayla has a story, and Judy has a story? Oh, okay. After seeing the first Paranormal Activity, I went home alone, and every little sound totally freaked me out. So.
Yeah. So this one is from my dad. He built the house I grew up in, and while they were building it, they had to cut down this one big-ass tree. And as they were cutting it, I guess the way they had to do it, they had to, when it got up really high, they had to tie certain pieces to ropes. And this one guy was having such a hard time cutting off this one branch. And then finally he cut it, but then he fell. Like, it wasn't too far, but a pretty long ways down. And then the stump was swinging through the air, and it looked like it was like bleeding blood, and it was like the size of someone's like head. But it's also kind of like a natural phenomenon that some trees, I guess, will have this like red kind of sap coming out of them.
Oh.
But then my dad comes to find out that people used to be hung there. Yeah. And it was like, it looked like a head, looked like it was bleeding, it was swinging on a rope. Yeah. So that's, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Wow.
it.
That is some Watchmen shit right there.
Slightly terrifying. Yeah.
Oh man.
Wow. Yeah, that's really... Yeah, that's really crazy. Oh my god. Oh. Okay.
I'm kind of glad we don't live there anymore.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh my god. And then I think Alicia mentioned the Jersey Devil, and that's a good X-Files episode. I don't know. I liked it. Anyway. Isn't the Jersey Devil kind of like Chupacabra in the... No?
I think so.
I vaguely remember... I read a lot about it when I was a kid, but I have not followed up in like 20 years.
Yeah. Lives in the Pine Barrens.
Oh, it's...
I have no idea, honestly. I just know that it exists. And I think my husband has an action figure somewhere.
Tasia, do you remember what it is?
If I'm remembering correctly, there were a bunch of stories about the Jersey Devil, but the whole idea was that this woman had given birth to like this,
That's
like,
right.
Wings and like cloven hooves and stuff, and then like it was like the devil spawn. Then one day he just flew out the chimney, and now he lives in the woods in Jersey. I think he's like full size man, whereas chupacabras are much smaller and they have the fangs, so they can like drink the goat blood and shit.
Yeah,
I think the chupacabra, the Jersey Devil's much bigger. Like,
okay,
I didn't realize chupacabras were little.
they're little. They get little things to suck up the goat blood and shit.
like gnomes, like gnome little.
I think they're like large dog size, but they have like really large fangs.
Cute.
No.
All right. One or two here. One night, this is from insider.com. That compiled Reddit stuff. So it's a Reddit person. One night when my daughter was 2.5 years old, we were home alone talking right before bed. We were playing a game where we gave all her stuffed animals silly names. Named the last one, and then she asked, well, what's her name? And I said something along the lines of, who? Honey, we already named everyone. She then points to the blank wall and says, the little girl. And I don't know if it was just an overactive imagination or something else. All I know is that it freaked me out enough to sleep with the lights on for the next week. But did she make the daughter sleep in the room with the little girl? That's like always my question.
Yeah, that stuff freaks me out. Where it's like little kids have their sixth sense. Like you hear all those stories where like little kids can see spirits and stuff because they haven't, like their mind is still all expanded. And,
yeah.
Oh my God. Ugh, shivers.
There was another one over here that actually was the one I was like, where is it? This is the one that's going to scare Shandy. Okay, here we go. This is from Reddit user Kevin Credible 22. I was once showering, door locked, when I heard the blinds fall down. It freaked me out, so I pulled back the shower curtain to investigate. I'm thinking my brothers are trying to break in and play a prank on me or something, so I pulled the blinds up to look out the window. The window was completely fogged over from The inside minus one large solitary handprint. I was scared as hell, but finished my shower and told my family member. We all compared our handprints to that of the one on the window, and no one's was as big.
That's what she said.
Well played.
I do have tears in my eyes, though. So that was
the one.
That was freaky.
We're done.
Nope.
Okay, good. I knew that was going to be the one. All right. I could keep going, but for the sake of, I don't know. I don't want to overdo it. And like, if anybody's like, let's move on from this topic.
I mean, I'm good.
All right. Well, one or two more. I rented an old house while in college with some roommates. The previous tenants left a note saying that they put a bolt on the basement door because it was weird down there. When we jokingly started down the basement steps, a huge cold wind came blowing up at us. We kept it locked, but every so often we would find that it had unlocked itself. There's seriously bad energy down there. That reminds me of the basement in Lovecraft County. Does anybody watch that show? It's one of the earlier episodes of the season. We're at the haunted basement. Yeah, that was some freaky shit. That's really freaky. I forgot to mention that about my office. Is one of the other things is when we were compiling the stories, we realized that my boss and my one coworker that sit in the back, which is the newer extension of the house, they've never had anything weird happen to them. And also, my boss's office is like noticeably warmer, like a good 5 degrees warmer than the rest of like the front offices. We're always freezing up in the front. Like we had to come and like replace like the whole thermostat system because that it's always freezing in here. So just gonna point that out.
I wonder what the ghost doesn't like in the new part of the building.
Well, I think the ghost is maybe confined to not being in the new part of the building.
Or maybe. I mean, I've never been a ghost. I don't know the rules.
Yeah. Tasia said, I'll have to get more in-law stories for the next time they have their own mortuary. Yes. Yes, you do. You have 1 year to come back. That's your homework. I was late night gaming. This is from Reddit user 2abstract788. My dog was hanging out with me and started to bark into the dark bedroom. When I went to check it out, I could hear fingernails scratching inside my bedroom closet. As I got closer, the scratching started getting quieter. The sound stopped when I was right in front of the door. Crash. Stuff started hitting the inside of the door. I ran straight outside. No way was I going to stay in there alone this time. 30 minutes go by. My buddy comes over to come check things out with me. I open the door to find all of my clothes and hangers all over the floor of the closet. We searched every wall and ceiling for any secret openings, but no secret doors were to be found.
No, thank you.
All right, I think that's a good place to end it for now. We'll meet again next year. God willing, if there is a next year.
Now I just need like a big sound effect of like a creaky old book, like until next year. Thunder crash.
There we go.
Nice.
All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll do feedback. All right, we are back, and we are newly joined by JP and Mandy. JP, who came in costume as a copycat. He's got a control C sign and little kitty Playboy bunny kitty ear things and a bow tie. I don't know. Kitty cat ears and a bow tie.
Crossbreeding. And
Judy, you're in costume too. Is that from Monsters, Inc.? What is that from?
Yes, I'm Sully.
I knew it. We just saw Monsters, Inc. this weekend in theaters.
I see that Maddie's in costume.
Yep, Carl, you got some competition.
Hey!
That is great.
I love it. Do you have a gavel too? It looks like you bought the same one I did from Amazon. Okay.
And on Friday, they have Book or Ween at school where they have to dress as a character from a book. So who is RBG?
Nice.
This is great.
I approve. I love it. All right. We've got a little bit of feedback to get to. The first one is a voicemail from Ro, and she introduces it. As you'll hear in this clip, I had a pretty funny set of coincidences happen over the past few decades. I missed the conversation during the last broadcast, but I thought I would share with you. Have a good one. I look forward to seeing you at the West Wing Pod. So she sent this before then.
Hello, broads. It's Ro from New York. I'm so sorry I missed the conversation about coincidences on the last broadcast. I was going back and forth between a comedy Zoom and the broadcast on YouTube. Anyway, one of my cousins is 15 years older than me, and I'm the baby in my family. So when I was growing up, I was actually growing up with his children, even though he's my first cousin. They're 3 years older than me, 1 year older than me, and 1 year younger than me. And I spent a lot of time at their house, believe it or not, in Staten Island, even though at that time I was living in Brooklyn. I used to go to their house all the time. We would play. I loved it. They had a big backyard, which coming from Brooklyn was very different than my experiences. And that was it. Fast forward about 10 or 12 years, and I had a really good friend from high school. And we were going out to Staten Island to visit her cousin who lived somewhere in Staten Island. I had met her cousin Denise a couple of times, and I was going to just join for the birthday party. So we're driving in the neighborhood, and I'm like, oh, this looks familiar to me. And my friend, whose name is Sandra, was saying, absolutely not, Ro, you always think everything looks familiar. There's no way. We keep driving. We turn around a corner. I'm like, this really looks familiar to me. I think my cousin lived on this block. And Sandra's saying, absolutely not. There's no way. Stop. You always think everything is a coincidence. And we park the car, and we get out of the car. And I say, this is actually my cousin's house. And Sandra says, it is absolutely not your cousin's house. What are you talking about? Stop it. We go in the house, and I say to my friend's cousin, who owns this house? And they say, oh, Charlie Rubel, who is my cousin. Actually, his name is Chaim, but anyway, they knew him as Charlie. And so my friend from high school, her cousin was renting the house that my cousin owned. Now, the coincidences don't end there. A few years later, my roommate that I was living with in Bay Ridge moves out, and I need a new roommate, so I end up getting my friend Sandra's cousin Denise as my roommate. She was the one who had lived in my cousin's house in Staten Island. Scrap all that, leave it alone, move forward about 20 more years, and I go to a Honda dealership to get a new car, and I get the guy, I can't think of what they're called, the salesman in the Honda dealership is going to lease me a new car. So as we're doing all the lease paperwork, he takes my information and he sees my name, Ronit Rubel, and he says, Rubel, that name sounds familiar to me. And he starts thinking about it for a few minutes, and then he says, oh, wait, I bought my house from a Charlie Rubel. He ended up buying the house that my cousin owned when I was a kid and lived in, and that my friend Sandra's cousin Denise rented. So boom,
so random.
There you go, a circle of coincidences. Anyway, sorry for the long message, but I just thought it was so funny. It's one of the biggest coincidences that I've had in my life. Have a good one. Bye.
Dude, I just spent 15 minutes talking about my haunted office. That was a short story.
I loved it. That was great. Such good symmetry.
Yep.
That is crazy. There's got to be something like significant, right, about the house, like the street number or the right. Is that
I don't know. The house chose them.
That is really crazy, though.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. While we were doing that, Shandy informed me that I completely forgot to do the That's What She Said, which is my bad. So,
we're doing things in a spooky order.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, it's time for That's What She Said. We've got some volunteers from the chat. Here we go. We've got number 1 is Kayla, number 2 is Greg, 2 is Greg, 3 is Tasia, 4 is JP. Here we go.
Good to see everybody. Some of you 2 days in a row.
Now we're in the O.
That didn't take very long.
Hope Fred brings it up.
I think we spent more than enough time on this.
I don't know how many more of them.
I'm done.
I don't have to learn how to use a new device.
You could say that with some more intonation. I'm giving you a note.
You giving me a note? Okay.
Actor's note.
Ooh, I don't have to learn how to use a new device.
Okay, good.
I don't eat it. I don't know the difference.
It's not quite my lane, but we're having fun trying.
What were we
first?
Maybe they're 90% finishers.
Oh, there's a visual for this one.
I just opened the wrong one.
Who's going to be what?
I'm tuckered out after that one.
Give us a happy ending.
Hashtag vote.
Hashtag vote.
Hashtag God, please vote. I say that was marvelous.
That was great. Bravo. Bravo.
And also, who's Fred?
That's a good question.
Yeah, wait, who is Fred, Matt? Okay.
I don't remember.
Fred is the broadcast ghost.
The ghost at the end of the bed.
I'm voting Rogers.
Rogers. Could be.
Maybe.
Do you know, then this is terrible, but I was, I was pandemic years old when I realized in Ghostbusters there's the scene where Dan Aykroyd gets ghost head. I definitely did not ever pick up on that. And then we were watching it with the kids and I was like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have either. I'll have to rewatch that.
You have to watch the scene where they're playing like the ghost, like after Slimer, and they're playing the Ghostbusters theme, like the song. It's like that montage, and
when they're kicking ass and kicking names,
exactly, all over the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. JP, ever known Ron Jeremy in the crowd? Maybe, because Alex is obsessed with Ghostbusters, which is why we're reprising our Ghostbusters costumes from when Zach was a baby.
Nice.
The exception is Alex is actually going to be Stay Puffed by choice, whereas Zachary did not want to do it when he was a baby. And we bought the full-on costume because he is so excited about it. I mean, really excited.
I love it. I
That's
can't wait
awesome.
for the pictures.
They'll be really cute pictures. Yeah. And it's been a very Alex-heavy story-heavy night, but like Alex also ate a crayon tonight, and it was disgusting.
Ooh.
I gagged.
Like a whole one?
So we were going over Zach's schoolwork, and Jay came up with this idea to do it on the windows, like behind our dining room table, and with a white erase board marker, because Zach thinks it's fun to do it that way. So like we were going over sight words and whatever with him, and Alex was tasked with making a birthday card for Aunt Cindy, actually. And instead of making the birthday card, Aunt Cindy, I'm really sorry, I'm trying. We turn around, and he has eaten the head off the crayon, and he's just chewing on it like it's nothing. And I was just like, I literally gagged. I was like, you are really I can deal with the poop and the puke and all that, but for some reason, chewing on this crayon and hearing it, I was like, bleh.
Did he say why?
Because he wanted to.
What
Did it
kind
look
of
good? Did it?
Was it
What
a
color?
Crayola or was it like dollar store crayon?
No. It was like out of the 64 pack.
Okay.
It was I believe it was like a brown or a burnt sienna or something. It was a brownish color crayon.
Pack is missing.
No, it's like a 63 and a half pack.
There's still some crayon left. But I mean, we all know once the point of the crayon is is gone. It's really not worth using the crayon anymore.
But they have their sharpener in the back. Now the sharpener never works. But
we all know the sharpener
fun.
doesn't work.
But it's fun for kids. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, it's not even that gross, but to me, it was so gross. Like I really couldn't deal with it. Yeah.
Wow.
Crayons.
I believe Crayola crayons are natural.
I was going to say, what are they actually made
Wax.
of? Because
wax.
JP said crayons and butt thermometers. What's with those crazy kids? I don't know. The butt thermometer, though, he didn't know. To Zach's credit, he didn't know it was a butt thermometer. For anybody that doesn't remember that story, a year or so ago, Alex was sick. We had the butt thermometer. And then I had cleaned it with the wipe, like I hadn't done a full cleaning yet. Put it down. Zachary comes in, picks it up, sticks it in his mouth because he wants to take his temperature. Doesn't realize that it had just been up Alex's butt.
to be fair, and maybe I said this a year ago also, if your kids were in France, everything would be a butt thermometer. At least, I don't know if it's still that way, but like Frank and I have exchanged stories. Like growing up, I never got my temperature taken in the ass. Like I have zero memories of that. With him, it's just like systematically like, oh, where do you take your kid's temperature? You take it in the butt.
That's a That's what she says right there.
It is more accurate. It is, I will give you that. It is more accurate.
It is. And every time like they do the temperature checks when you're like going someplace or whatever, I'm always like, this really isn't the most accurate way to take a temperature.
Not even a little bit.
Like, do we really know if they have a fever or have they just been in like the wind or something and their forehead is? Did I tell you guys that I went for a walk a couple weeks ago and it's very windy and there was nobody around me, but I put my mask on anyway and used it as a face blanket? Did I tell that story?
No.
Okay.
I mean, you did. You just told it right now. But we haven't done it previously.
I did. I was like, it's a little face blanket. Now my cheeks won't be chapped when we're done.
Hey, no, that's great. It's like a scarf, but yeah, it's like an extension of a scarf.
Yeah, it's like a nose scarf.
Like
it's cheek scarf.
A more compact scarf.
And side note, it looks like Matt has a nose scarf.
And Matt, are you wearing a mask around your eyes?
Yes.
With your background, I couldn't tell.
I just had a mask from an old costume, and I just put on the mask that I wore today. Yeah, so this isn't really an actual costume. This is just a hodgepodge of things I put on my face.
That's what she said.
That.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway. I don't know how we got to Alex eating crayons, but there we were.
It was delightful. It was a nice little detour.
He's just so weird. He does just these crazy things like that.
I don't know. I feel like all kids, you can't make it out of childhood without eating something weird. A crayon, dirt, like something.
Very true. Very true. Did anybody out there eat anything weird?
It's part of being a kid, I think.
Yeah. Did you ever eat anything weird?
Probably.
That your parents...
I don't have any memories of it. But again, I mean, it could just be like in the part of my brain that got the temperature taken up the butt. It doesn't exist for me, so I don't know.
Kayla ate birdseed as a child. You could have thought that it was like little pumpkin seeds or something. Oh.
No, we were feeding the birds and I would...
To be fair, it's like you feed birds bread and you eat bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there are other seeds that we eat, like my pumpkin seeds right here.
Pumpkin seeds.
Colleen, have the boys never tried to eat Zoe's food?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, my kids have done that with the dog's food.
Oh, yeah. Little. I don't think Zach ever did, but I'm pretty sure Alex has eaten Zoe's food. Alex is just, like, that's a child with no fear. If he wants to go do it, he's just going to do it, and he does not. The difference between Zach and Alex is Zachary is inherently afraid of getting in trouble. Like, if there's a scary movie, we went to see Monsters, Inc. because they brought it back in the theater this weekend. Zachary was fine until the little girl came through the door, and then he was so worried about the Sully and the other one getting into trouble for having her there that he had to leave. He had to leave the theater twice, and it wasn't because the monsters were scary. It was the anticipation that they were going to eventually get in trouble for it that he could not deal with. It was so bad. Like, the first time I actually had ran out to the restroom and like came back in, and Jay is sitting where I was sitting with a child like wrapped around his neck, and I'm thinking it's Alex, and then I realized, wait a second, Alex is there in that seat. So why is Jay in my seat? Because I was sitting at the end. Why is he here? And what is Zach doing? And they like left, and then Jay texted me. He was like, it was bad. Like when she came through and they were talking about like, you know, what are we going to do with her? Like he was freaking out. And I was like, well, that's so interesting. And then he came back in. He had to leave the theater again, another point, because he was so nervous with the suspense and the tension. Again, the monsters part didn't scare him. It was the getting in trouble thing. So, yeah, that's the inherent difference between the two of them. And Alex is just like, he's not even like, I'm going to ask for forgiveness later. It's going to be like, what do you have to say for yourself? And he'll be like, I don't know. Like, you want to say sorry? No. So... Judy, so when I was Zach's age, I used to do that with TV shows when things were getting tense in another room. Well, I still have never seen Hocus Pocus because of...
What?
Yes! I think I tell this every year. The first scene of Hocus Pocus, we went with my grandpa took me and my sister Caitlin, and I was... What year did that come out? Because that's how old I was.
Like 93.
93, yeah.
So we were 9. I was so scared of it that I cried, and he had to take us home because I refused to go back in there, and it was just him and the two of us.
Damn.
So I've still never seen it. I hear it's good, though.
It's really fucking good.
Friends, and I've never made you... We have lived together during Halloweens, and I've never made you watch
multiple Halloweens.
I have failed you
Halloween
as a friend.
classic.
I am really sorry. I have failed you.
Alicia said, I've seen Hocus Pocus before, but the hubby and I watched it for the first time the other night. JP said, ruins the fun I used to have. I go to a movie with only 1 or 2 people sitting there. I always have a seat directly next to someone. Yeah, so... You know, I'm pretty sure they're probably going to reclose again here soon, but I'm glad that we at least got to go and do something that was not Costco. So, yeah.
I went, Colleen, to a football game 2 weeks ago. I went with my dad. He was like, I have another ticket. Do you want to go? And it was the best football game I've ever been to. There was not a line anywhere. There was no lines at concession stands. They had seats blocked off. They were zip tied, so you had to sit in your seat. And the closest person next to us, I think, was like 7 or 8 seats down.
Yeah.
There was no one 2 rows in front of us or 2 rows behind us.
Oh, that is awesome.
Wow.
You could stand. I went to the bathroom. All the times I went to the bathroom, one time was there someone else in the bathroom with me.
Oh, that's the dream right there.
Yeah. And they had security walking around. And if you were not actively eating or drinking, they would tell you to put your mask on. And they said, if we have to warn you more than twice, you will be ejected.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really cool. And the whole event is outside, right? Because it's football.
Yeah, we're outside.
Yeah. That's cool.
It was really good.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish up. It's getting a little bit late. Let's finish up with a mass. No, we did mass what she said. We did mass what she said. We did mass what she said. We did. Okay, so
with audience participation.
Okay, so maybe I should look at the outline. What are we up to? Let's finish up with an Andy update. Okay, let's finish up with an Andy update.
Okay, so this week in Andy's social distancing, Andy writes in, hey broads. Well, we're just about to hit the scariest day of the year, Election Day. I did vote early and it was super easy. Now we're just waiting to see how it'll play out and I'm a little scared. I'm sure a lot of us are looking at the people with serious rage and tons of firepower and worried that this is how the purge starts. While I know Trump leaving office won't be the end of this, and the megas will be annoyed and cause plenty of problems for years to come, I'm trying to stay optimistic that things will work out. Unfortunately, I think there will probably still be some violence. See the rage and firepower earlier. But most of them are all talk. Trump is a bully and certainly has enabled his followers to be the worst that they can be. But I'm sure the people who are in a rage about wearing masks are going to want to turn their backyard into a war zone. Here's hoping, and go vote everyone who hasn't. Hashtag I'm 6 feet from hers.
Yes, Andy. Thank you for reminding everybody to get out and vote.
It's the final stretch.
And if you live in Wisconsin and you're hearing this on Friday, you better either walk your ballot to a box or go in person or early vote. Do not mail that shit, because guess what? It's not going to be counted.
Nope. This is too important.
Yep. So I guess we'll see.
Did everybody... No stress. Did everybody on here vote? Show of hands. Who early voted? Nice. Oh my God. So we have 100%.
100%
rate.
That's pretty awesome.
That is really awesome. This makes me feel so happy.
Last time we podcasted, I hadn't filled out my ballot yet, but we took the time to actually look into it and do that. And we got to vote on some pretty cool, like state and local things, like ending cash bail and designating Uber and Lyft and similar, drivers as employees.
Yeah.
And things like that. So it was pretty fun and pretty, like there were things to feel good about for sure.
Yeah.
I took the girls yesterday and Mackenzie wasn't interested in it because she remembers going last time and doing it with me, but I don't think Maddie does. And so I was showing her, I was like, well, look at all the people. And we pushed the button. Every time I selected a person, she would say, oh, mommy, so you voted for fill in the blank of the person's name. And I was like, stop. Shh, we don't say that out loud.
Yeah. We ended up going on Wednesday last week, and we walked in, and we picked the right time. We left the house at 1:00. We got there a few minutes after 1:00 and walked right in. There was no wait. It was awesome. And there was this moment, though, as we were walking to our little because we fill it out still, like you hand do it. We were walking around the station. There was this big commotion, people were ringing a bell and clapping, and I guess there was somebody who had registered and was a first-time voter was voting, so they were making a big deal about it. And yeah, and me being me, I was like, yeah, democracy. Some old lady that was near me gave me a dirty look, shh. And I was like, it's just so exciting. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Democracy, kind of, because we don't actually have a direct democracy in the United States, but...
Yes.
Whatever.
Close enough.
Close enough.
We were the prototype. Whatever. We're working out the kinks still.
But yeah, I have to say, and I don't know, did anybody else experience this, but when I filled out my ballot for the presidential candidates, I was shaking, and as soon as I was done, I let out this huge sigh. I was just like... And Jay said that he got all teary-eyed, very, and it's Jay, so he got very emotional, doing it. And I swear to God, I took so long to fill out both sides because I was so nervous that I was gonna mess it up somehow.
Same. Yeah. When it comes to that kind of stuff, I get hyper anxious about doing it wrong, or that I'm gonna accidentally fill in the wrong thing.
Right, although most of them only have 2 options, so it's really hard to fill out the wrong thing.
Right. But in New York, we have the Working Families Party, so usually the Democrat is also listed there.
Was that the rent is too high guy? Was the Working Families Party?
Maybe.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. That was from a minute ago.
I know.
The rent's too damn high.
Yeah.
I mean, that still holds true today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not true.
We got to vote on rent control.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, which California did not go for last time. Because, that's the thing is why? Because tons of money was coming in against it. Because same with the proposition for the Uber and Lyft drivers. All I've seen are ads that were trying to get people not to vote for that.
Yeah.
And they're all sponsored by Uber and Lyft.
Yeah,
it's they put in $22 million.
I heard that.
Into this campaign. Oh, and maybe they should just use that money to give their workers
health insurance.
I don't know, novel idea.
Clearly, they got the money.
Yeah,
but I will say, when we were filling out, especially the part for president, Frank and I kept joking because, this is how we joke. I would take my pen and be like, right, so Trump, and pretend, and we were both doing that, and it's funny to us because it's absurd. But then we had to be wait a second, don't fill out the actual wrong. And then for all the propositions, it's they're worded in such a way that it's if you vote for this, then you do not agree that this thing should not be, it's super convoluted. So you're wait,
so lawyers speak.
Which way am I?
Yeah.
What's a yes vote? What am I doing here?
Shandy,
we got it done.
I don't know if you listened to Love It or Leave It, but he did like a segment at the end of the most recent podcast that talked about the propositions that are purposely confusing, or the ones that just like the one in Florida that literally changes nothing, but it's worded in a way to inspire like the like more like MAGA turnout to like get them. And it's like the proposition does nothing. It's just like another thing to tell people like, come and vote for this and then vote for Trump. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, like he went over like some of the more like, you know, nefarious / dumb ones out there. And yeah, Mandy said Pod Save America mentioned a link on their site that breaks all that down. That's the one I sent you, but you had already done it. It was It was like Vote Save America / ballot, I think.
So I don't know if everyone gets these, but in California we get like this thing in the mail that explains in like more clear speech, and it's totally nonpartisan, like what everything means. All the candidates have their little statements, but then like for every proposition, it's like a yes vote means this, a no vote means this. So like with that, we're able, and like some internet research, but really with that, you're able to kind of like wrap your head around it. But if you just read the proposition, it's like many times, what the fuck am I voting for?
Yeah. New York City does that sometimes. I mean, this year we didn't have any propositions to vote for, but I think in the midterm election, I think we got something like that because there was a couple of things, additional ancillary things on the ballot.
Yeah. Well, cool. As to close this out, as Matt pointed out, we had a literal 10 out of 10 with early voting, which a very small sample size, but maybe somebody should tell one of the pollsters. Well, Jay was doing Beto's, he's done Beto's calls like 3 times now, and he did the last one yesterday, and he said that every like 9 out of 10 people he called told him that they had already early voted.
Nice.
Which is great.
And I saw that there's a map out there today. It was on Twitter, and it was all the states, and it had listed as of, I think, this weekend, the percentage of early voting or, versus 2016. And Texas had like 225% or something crazy. It was like really high. Like, is this really real high? It was, yeah. Well, cool. All right, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
Hope that everyone can make broad topics on Monday night, the 2nd. I'm sure we're going to have a lot to talk about because, again, every day is crazy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And they were apparently saying that Harris is not going to be the next president, and it's going to be Ivanka.
Oh, God, Ivanka.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we would vote for her.
Yeah. Jared and Ivanka are currently, having the dumbest fight with the Lincoln Project right now. Did everybody see they threatened them with a lawsuit, and the Lincoln Project basically came back with what is, and I'm not an attorney, but like, it was amazing my Twitter self thought it was great, where it was like, so they have these billboards up in Times Square, and essentially, it just quotes them on things that they've, something that Jared said, and then it was Ivanka with the Goya beans pose, and it updates daily with the death toll from COVID, and they got really, really mad, and apparently Trump got really, really mad, and he actually called the Lincoln Project out, but not by name, at a rally yesterday, and they, of course, were like linking to the clip of it, and they were like, "Say our name, bitch! Come on, say our name!" Because he was like, and these ad guys that make the ads, the rhinos,
the rhinos,
Republicans in name only.
Oh,
yeah.
Huh.
So they threatened them with a lawsuit, and then they came back, and the Lincoln Project's lawyers had the best, like, they actually were like mentioning the billboard, and then on the first page of, it's a 3-page letter back, it was like the billboard parentheses pictured here for your immediate reference, and then put a picture of it in the response. And then essentially it was like, hold on, there's a fantastic quote from it. peddle your scare tactics elsewhere. The Lincoln Project will not be intimidated by such empty bluster. Your clients are no longer East Upper Side socialites able to sue at the slightest offense to their personal sensitivities. Mr. Kushner and Ms. Trump are public officials. They have been public officials since President Trump, in a gross act of nepotism, awarded Mr. Kushner and Ms. Trump senior White House positions in 2017. The placement of them to the high-level White House offices has been disastrous for Americans everywhere, but now is devastating to the prospects of your would-be lawsuit. Oh, please. And then it's bunch blah, 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 blah. The Lincoln Project plans to avail itself of these constitutional protections because, under First Amendment, to duly criticize Mr. Kushner and Ms. Trump until they cease to be public officials at approximately noon Eastern Standard Time on January 20th, 2021. I think my favorite part of this actually comes in a footnote at the very bottom. And essentially it's just like, where is it? It's like the best shade ever. It's great. I can't find it, but essentially what they say is like, in another ruling, like precedent shows that something is not actually like malicious or libel if it's widely believed to be true, and Jared and Ivanka are widely believed to be trash. So what they were doing wasn't actually hurtful to them. Yeah. And that, I think it was, I forget which one of them it was. It could have been Rick Wilson, but like when he retweeted it, he was just like, and they're never going to the Met Gala again. Yeah. Good times. So good times. Yeah. Anyway. All right, everybody. On that note, it is time for bedtime. Did you see the Midas Touch ad today? A mom taking her teenage daughter probably for an abortion and the police stopping and asking the teenager if she was pregnant. I did not see that, but that's crazy. Midas Touch also does really good ads too. I should plug them. They're really great as well.
It was on Twitter today.
Okay.
Earlier today.
Okay.
And then the police arrested them as part of the ad.
Ooh, I just got chills. I don't like that. On that note, everybody, Broad Topics, Monday. It's going to be lit.
Be there or be square.
We're going to do...
It's going to be weird energy, but it's going to be energy.
Yeah, it's going to be energy. We're going to do tequila shots that night, ladies.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Same link as this link, though. Hope you'll join us 9:00. Thank you to the patrons, especially the patrons that contribute to a certain level, and that would be Tack from Tokyo, Eckhart Rickner, Maggie the Magnificent, Joanne with a Plan, Greg the Gray, and Ed the Creepy Mailman. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you'd like to make a patron, go to patreon.com/JayandJack. On that note, thank you guys, though. We appreciate it. Happy Halloween to everybody out there. My name is Colleen.
My name is Amanda.
And I'm Shandy.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
Yay.